You know, from my PhD work, I understand how the brain learns. And so an anachronism like RROSR, I've been asked about several times, why did I create that? Well, the RROSR stands for a trigger, and each letter stands for a word in that trigger, in that whole phrase. The first R is to recognize the cue. A top performer is highly aware of what cue to look for, whether you're bowling or playing golf or writing a novel. You understand how to receive the cue. Now, whether it could be through a visual or a verbal cue or a kinesthetic cue, which is how you might feel the pressure, like in swimming, sort of thing. The next one is you have to receive the cue. So that requires you to have the nervous system and structure to take in the stimulus. So that requires you to use all of your senses. And in the case of Albert Einstein, he used multisensory learning. He would imagine something in another modality, such as taste or smell, and that would trigger the whole action of what he was trying to recall. So the O then stands for organizing it. The brain takes the information in, but then it has to organize it, sort of like the switching yard in a freight yard with freight trains. If you have a visual pattern, we tend to think that you're going to put that in a different part of your brain versus a pattern that you hear from an auditory stimulus. So then the next one becomes S. It's the store. Where are you going to store it? Well, based on brain waves and research, we kind of understand now how the brain functions. And we think that if it's a visual pattern, you're going to store that in the back of your brain in the occipital lobe. And so that's how the storage comes about. But then it's not just for that. You also have to be the final R, which is retrieval. And if you're a top performer, you do all these things in order. It's a sequence, and it's a RROSR, and then you remind yourself of that. So then you retrieve it. And in a snap, the top performer responds to the cue before an average person would say, oh, see, what do I do next? Oh, I don't know. Well, that person knows. It's in the top of mind awareness. They respond immediately. And when you can do that, that's what really defines you as a top performer.